All right, welcome back. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. That way you can keep coming back over and over to hang with us and our fantastic creative guests in the arts and entertainment world. I'm Allison Murray, and right now we're at AuthorCon and Film Festival in Oneonta, New York at the Holiday Inn, hosted by DTM Wicked Radio, and we're hanging with author Michael Sanford. Thank you so much for hanging with us.
Well, thanks for having me on. It was fun.
So tell us about your latest book.
My latest book is entitled House of Sand. It's over here on the, I guess, right, left, whatever it is for them. It's actually a little bit of a departure from some of my earlier works. I started kind of in the fantasy genre, and this one is kind of a more of a dark thriller. It was kind of an idea I had kicking around in my head for a while, and so I kind of forced myself to take a break from my usual stuff and get that out of my head before it did any damage.
All right. So what inspired you to become an author and to do your first book?
I think writing was something I always had in me. It was one of those things where, going through high school and even college, people kept telling me what a great writer I was, and et cetera, et cetera. But I never really took it to heart or even really thought too much about it. At some point, I think I had the idea for the first book off the back a little bit. I actually went to college here in Oneonta.
Oh.
And shortly afterwards, I got a job in a group home or a treatment center for troubled youth. And I had one client who had his own kind of creative way of dealing with his own trauma. And we used to often kind of joke, the staff, and say to each other, I wonder what's going on in his head. What is it like to look through the world in his eyes? And that's kind of what prompted the story, and it kind of grew from there. And eventually I just decided, well, I need to put this down. I need to write it. I wrote that whole first novel, finished it, and then sat back and said, well, okay, what do I do now? I hadn't really thought about publishing, hadn't thought about anything other than I just needed to write the story. It was actually through some podcasts that I kind of discovered the world of independent publishing, which I think appealed to me more than the traditional route. And so I said, well, okay, I'll put it together and put it out there, and that was just kind of got me to where I am now, 5 books later.
That's nice. That's great. Did you find it challenging to get your book published when you first started?
Challenging. I'm self-published, so I don't know if it was challenging in the sense of, for traditional authors having to get other people involved. It was definitely a process to learn. There was a learning curve to it. Realizing that for me and the way I do it, I had to not just write the story. That's a very small part of it. Right. It was editing, it was formatting, it was cover art, it was advertising, it was, marketing, all that kind of stuff that kind of went into it. You just kind of feel around the dark until you find something that feels right. And I like to think that I've learned a lot along the way, but it was kind of a trial by fire kind of thing.
Let's see. Do you have a specific writing style?
I don't know quite what you mean by style. I'm not one who does a lot of planning or outlining beforehand, at least not in the traditional sense where I'm writing down things or doing a lot of different drafts. I'll think through a story a lot in my head for a long period of time before I actually start writing it. And then I just kind of let it see where it goes. I take a lot of pride in writing believable and authentic characters, and they kind of end up dictating where we go with things.
Very good. Is there anything challenging that you find about your stories?
Challenging
in trying to write them too, getting them on paper?
In general, no. I think all of us writers eventually come to a tough day or tough couple of weeks, be it writer's block or whatever. But really, no. I've gotten pretty good at when that story's there, when it's on the tip of my fingers, to say, just letting it out. And I find that once you kind of just starting, I think is the hard part. Whether it's just a day or starting a new book, there are some times where I just have to force myself to sit down and just write something. And 15 minutes later, I'm just, you get into it, you get immersed, and, 2 hours have gone by, you've written a good chunk.
Awesome. Cool. Do you have to do a lot of research to write your stories?
In the traditional sense, no. A lot of my stuff is fantasy, so there's not a lot to research per se. So not in that sense, no. I mean, a lot of in the first years I talked about writing, kind of drawing on inspiration of the client I had. That was kind of based on, there was some real life stuff there, so I kind of lived the research. And the other book I have up here, The Girl with the Red Hair, is just book 1 of a series I'm working on now. That was inspired by a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I ran. So that was already ran through it too. No, I just don't.
It just kind of comes to you.
Yeah,
Cool.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's cool. Where do you like to go to recharge or draw your inspirations to come up with ideas for new stories? Do you have a favorite place?
No, not really. You could ask my wife. I'm always kind of writing in my head no matter where I am, kind of thing. It's pretty easy for me to just kind of turn inward and kind of work on things. And, there'll be triggers here and there. I'll hear a part of someone's conversation. It'll just make me think, oh, that was a fun way to say that, or, whatever. So, no, I don't really go to a place. I always kind of bring it with me.
Oh, well, that's cool. That's really cool. So who designs your book covers?
You're looking at them. I did.
You did.
I did. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
Nice.
The only thing I outsource is the editing work. Other than that, it's all me. For better or for worse.
That is fantastic. So have you found that your writing process or your style or how you are composing things in your head have changed since you first wrote your first book and published it?
Yeah, in some ways. I think I'm taking into account a little bit of the feedback I've kind of got along the way from other readers and stuff. They'll say some things, they really like some things, or some things didn't really work for them. And so I'm kind of thinking a little bit more about not just the story itself, but maybe how it's going to interact with the readers, which is not something I can really consider in the, for the first run.
Right.
It was just write the story, and then it was, so.
Oh, good. So what's coming up for you after today? Are you writing, are you working on anything new? Are you doing any more book signings?
I am actively writing the second book in the Last War Saga, which is, I wrote the first one. It was actually the second book I wrote, and then I kind of put it aside for a while and finished some other stuff. So now I'm getting back to that. We'll see where that goes.
And where can people find you and your books?
All my books are on Amazon. They're in print, they're in ebook, they're in audiobook. I have a website, mjsauthor.com. I'm all over Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of stuff.
Fun place to be. Do we have time for a game? We like to play games on this show. We're going to play a game. Let's play rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
You remember the game, rock, paper, scissors? We put a little twist on it. We are going to stand back to back. And we have our props. We're going to do our normal rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We're going to pick what we want, and then Harry's going to tell us what we're going to do. Something silly.
Okay.
Embarrass ourselves. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, what'd you get?
Oh, not the winning one, apparently.
Uh-oh. What do we got to do?
Something we have to do, or just I have to because I lost?
You're playing charades, act out around the world in 80 days.
World in 80 days.
How do you play that? How do you do that? Let's see. Around.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to act it out.
Well, but you gotta get 80 in there somehow. 80 in days.
8-0.
I think that's cheating in the world of charades.
I don't know. Around the world in 80 days, we're going to act it out. How are we going to do it? I don't know.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
He didn't like my idea. Give us another one.
You know this is going to be worse.
No.
Finish the sentence. Why is it every time disaster strikes I find myself... First thing that came to my mind was taking a dump. because that's where the mind always goes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We can do one more? Just trying to find a... What are we doing? Oh, we got to stand back to back? Oh, that's right. Duh. I forgot what I was doing. All right, ready. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Man, she's got me.
I'm good at this. I lost my first time every single time I played this game.
You can't go a day without hearing or saying. Hearing or saying. Can't go a whole day without hearing or saying. This is going to be terrible, but it's, I love you.
Aww,
I'm married, so I have to say that. Right?
That's so sweet. That's a good one, too. Well, guys, it's been a blast. We had so much fun hanging with Michael today. I'm Allison Murray, but before we go, we'd like to thank our partners at Famous Faces and Funnies, Off the Chain Radio with Yvonne Mason, the Florida Book News, Wordfire Press, and our great friends at Summon Unique Magazine. These are the folks that share our videos all over the World Wide Web, and we hope you will too. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know what you think of today's show and our guests. You can also check our guest links below. Remember to subscribe, log in, and stay tuned to see who we're hanging with next. All right, thank you so much.